do you think by specifying clear timelines, this judgment will play a very crucial role in shaping up the relationship between governors and state governments all over India? Because we've seen several states like West Bengal, Telangana, Kerala, etc. They've also approached the Supreme Court with comparable concerns. So do you think this will have an influence on those legal battles as well?
Well, I think you should see it as part of a pattern. As I said earlier, the state of Punjab judgment already was starting to prescribe some limits. This has made them even more clear in terms of timelines. I think other states have many other suits, cases pending. And this is one aspect of the anti-federal functioning of this government of India since 2014. There are many other aspects of it, including arbitrary borrowing limits, the leveraging of Article 293, subsection 3, other kinds of interference. So there are many, many states, notably all of them with non-BJP governments, where the union government has tried to interfere with the relatively independent functioning, because the Constitution says that they are equal forms of government, list 1 for the union, list 2 for the states, and list 3 concurrent. So in theory, at least in list 2, there should be no interference from the union government in list 2, though they are increasingly doing it in cooperation in agriculture through the farm bills, etc. So there are many things to push back against, many things to try to retain your rights for, and different states have taken different matters to court. I think the Chief Minister proved his wisdom in prioritizing this particular matter, and whatever victory this is not about the DMK or about Tamil Nadu. It's about all states, and it's all about the union of India and the better relationship of all states and the union.
Sir, when we talk about the 10 bills that that are mentioned in the judgment, most of these bills, it is about removing the governor from the position of the chancellor of state and universities. So now the Supreme Court has told that these bills shall be deemed to be passed. So does this mean that the governor will no longer be the chancellor of all these universities effective now?
Yeah, I assume that. I think there's a natural process. The judgment has to be out, and based on the judgment, the government will have to go through a gazetting process and all that. There's a natural process. Bill gets introduced in the assembly, it gets passed. After that, it gets signed by the governor or the president, as the case may be, and then it gets gazetted and notified, and it gets into effect. So I assume that process will go through. But I just want to point out that neither is Tamil Nadu the only state that has done this change away from the governor because of obstreperous kind of interference, nor are there no other states that started with no governor as chancellor. Like the state of Gujarat from day one never had the governor as a chancellor. Some of this is vestiges of the British Empire. Those states that were the original seats of the presidencies of the British Empire tend to have continued the law as it stood in the time of the king or the queen. Those states that were formed after the States Reorganizations Act or 52, 56 or later tend not to have that in the bill at all. They have designed it properly. There's no reason why an unelected person appointed by a different level government should sit as a chancellor of universities funded by and run by the government of the state. So I would say it's more of a correction of an aberration rather than that Tamil Nadu is an outlier.
Sir, the DMK has been constantly, telling that the Union BJP government is using governors as tools to obstruct the functioning of democratically elected state governments, especially in opposition ruled states. So, where is this claim coming from, and how will you, link Mr. RN Ravi to this claim?
Well, there are 100 ways, right? I mean, that's why every state we mentioned, West Bengal has gone to court, Kerala has gone to court, Karnataka has gone to court, Punjab has gone to court. If it was not, surely a pattern emerges. In the case of Tamil Nadu, it starts very simple. The governor refuses to read out the address that we print. After we can discuss it with him and give it to him, he refuses to read out the address. How much more obstreperous can you be than that? So I'm saying there are 100 examples. Not signing of the bills or, trying to somehow thwart the will of the people is kind of the extreme limit. From day one onwards, this governor has refused to even read the governor's address properly for the last 3 years in a row. So, this question of does the governor have discretion in reading the governor's address is litigated all the way to the Supreme Court in the 1970s and settled. The governor has no discretion not to add one word, not to take out one word. right? That's the actual constitutional design plus Supreme Court. That since I was finance minister and since that's where the governor's address gets prepared, we have actually worked with the governors, even when it was Mr. Purohit before that, and when it is now the new governor. We work cohesively with them, we work iteratively with them. We say this is the actual intent of the government. Constitutionally, I don't need to do anything more, I just need to give it to them to read. But we go, we share it with them, we say, what do you think? Sometimes they say, can you change this, can you do that? We say, okay, it's a give and take. After the give and take is done, then the gentleman comes to the assembly and says, no, I won't read it, I can't read it, it goes against. It's atrocious, right? And then the excuse given, that's the point I want to make. The excuse he gave last time, he says, it goes against my constitutional duty to read this statement. And I said, that is exactly wrong. His constitutional duty, written in the Constitution and adjudicated all the way to the Supreme Court and set by precedent, is to read exactly what we say it should be read. If he has a personal or a moral problem with reading it, that is his prerogative. It's a free country. Every citizen has their own right. He can say, therefore, though it is my constitutional duty to do so, I feel personal morality that I don't want to do so. No problem. He can resign and not do the job. If he's there, he has to do the job he's constitutionally required to do. If he has a personal problem with it, everybody is allowed to act to their own morality. So, constitutionally, there's no question. From there onwards, the problem starts, I'm saying.
So, talking about this particular judgment, recently we're given to understand that the anti-need bill that was passed by the State Assembly twice, the President has withheld assent for this particular bill. So, in view of this Supreme Court judgment, what can we expect in terms of the anti-need bill?
Yeah, I don't want to, it's not my department and it's not my mandate. I will just say that this judgment only pertains to the role of the governor. My understanding of the Constitution is that the functioning of the office of the President is not justiciable by the courts. And though I don't think we are talking about the same thing, they are two different things. In this particular case, the Honorable Chief Minister has called for an all-party meeting this evening to further discuss next steps because...
The DMK and BJP have boycotted.
Yeah, that's up to them. But I'm saying because this bill was only sent back by the President, I think about 3 or 4 days ago, and the House has been in session. So the House is now going into a short break for various holidays. After this evening, it's not back in session again till the 15th. So there's a gap. So based on that, the Chief Minister has called for an all-party meeting to discuss the next way forward, and he will act as he sees fit.
Sir, how do you see the relationship between Tamil Nadu Governor RN Ravi and the state government shaping up post this SC verdict? Because it has been always shaky, since he came to Tamil Nadu, the relationship between the governor and the state government has been a bit shaky. So post this verdict, such a significant verdict, how do you see this relationship going forward, panning out?
Look, I'm an optimist. I hope that every time whatever happens, the future is better than the past. So I hope that it will be interpreted in the right way and it will lead to better outcomes. But that's just hope. I have no idea of knowing what is going to happen. I will just say that though my hope has been dashed multiple times, I still remain an optimist. For example, when the first governor was here, when I was opposition MLA,
2016.
When Thiagarajan Rao was here, I thought he was doing a good job, and then I was very disappointed to see him effectively kind of brokering a deal between OPS and EPS. You remember all the memes of the cattle trade market and all that stuff. So that itself I thought was not, befitting the office of a governor. When he was changed and Mr. Purohit came, I thought, learned man, editor of a newspaper, publisher, he would be a better man. He turned out to be more intrusive and interfering. But then he was at least fiscally prudent and he was very righteous in his spending and all that. I say this as finance minister, and we had very little cause for complaint other than his discretionary spending. And then we got this gentleman and the problems got worse in many ways, including on the fiscal side, which I've mentioned in the House as finance minister. So far my hope has not been kind of warranted, but I still remain optimistic. Let's see how it works out.
Sir, the DMK has time and again alleged that the governor, Mr. RN Ravi, is acting like a spokesperson of the BJP or the RSS, that that he is acting at the behest of the Union BJP government. So where is this claim rooting from, and why is the DMK thinking so?
I think the office of governor as envisioned in this constitution is a high office. It is not intended as a active political seat. It is not intended as a propaganda seat. It is not intended as a daily interaction with the masses, the equivalent of an MLA or a councillor or, those kinds of people. But Mr. Ravi has continuously used the state's money to engage in events where he espouses his propaganda, very often without any backing in history, and is more as the equivalent of an active politician and less as a statesman. 100 examples of that. I mean, I happen to know because I signed the bills for many of these events, but there are many, many instances in the public domain. You being in this field have good memory. So I would say even Mr. Vidyasagar Rao, Thiru Vidyasagar Rao or Thiru Banwarilal Purohit never had this kind of activist agenda where every month they were organizing 1, 2, 3 events with the IAS office aspirants, with civil society, and then espousing their own theories of race, ideology and language and things like that. Neither is this gentleman an expert in those things, nor is it his mandate to do so, nor is it fitting for the office, the decorum of the office, to be engaged in such partisan, unscholarly, highly questionable rhetoric and propaganda.
You think he is behaving like a politician, more of a politician?
Yeah, not even a particularly good one. Good politicians have a sense of getting the pulse of the people and having the ability to sway them. He has not even been particularly successful at that.
Sir, the party, the DMK has in multiple occasions, stated that the position of governor itself is not needed. It should be removed. Can you justify it to the viewers as to why the statement is coming in from the DMK, and at which point the DMK started to believe that the position of governor is not needed?
There's 3 answers to that question. The first is the position of governor is a legacy, is a hangover, is a holdover from the British Empire. The Queen or the King in London was the official head of state. The representative at the union level was the Governor General, and the representatives at the presidencies were the governor. This structure is common in Commonwealth countries, it's common in Australia and Canada, etc. It's a vestige, it's a remnant, it's a shell of the British Empire. So there is no natural reason why any country should have that as part of its integral structure. There is no unelected such feature, for example, in the UK, other than the Queen herself, or for example in the United States, or in non-Commonwealth, non-former British Empire countries. This is not there. The first point. Second point, from day one, our standing has been the same. From the inception of the DMK, from the founder Thiru Periyana onwards, we have always said, why should we have some vestige of the British Empire? When you have elected people, why do you need some other authority? Right? Now, the third reason I would say is that this is not an issue that is being raised for the first time or a DMK issue. The notion of whether or not there should be governors was debated hotly in the Constituent Assembly for many years. And there were many people who felt that it should be abolished at the time. And on the balance, it was felt that because it was a fledgling democracy, because we were largely adopting the British Constitution, though unwritten, we were writing ours, because in many ways, as I said, this Constitution is more a vision statement. It is reflected in the fact that we have had 100 and something amendments in less than 75 years of independence compared to, let's say, a US Constitution, which has had, 30 or 40 amendments in 200 plus years. So for various reasons, at the time, the marginal kind of consensus was we should continue with this role of governor and keep it in a very constrained way in things like Article 200 and make sure that they don't. In fact, there was a discussion, should there be elected governor as opposed to appointed governor? And then there was a feeling, how can you have 2 different elected kind of heads? One is already the chief minister, or the case the prime minister. So it was never a simple black and white issue, even on day one. And I would say there were significant reasons from the first day that this post should not have been there. because a lot of this constitution is written as an ambition or a vision statement rather than an execution manual. For example, India shall be a union of states in 1950, but the states were not identified or reorganized till 52. So it was more this wishful thinking kind of document. So in that sense, at the time, I think they thought this is one added kind of feature that will help integrate the country and keep it in its current kind of union. And therefore, on the margin, they decided. Now, to be fair, there have been objections about the role of the governor in the past. It's not as if these only started after 2014. As I say, the first litigation of the governor's deviation from the written printed address goes back to West Bengal in the 1970s. So with all of this history, there have been many instances where many people have called for the abolition of this post. The DMK stand has not changed one time in the entire existence of the DMK at a profound philosophical level. At some instances in time, we have found the governor to be less obstructionist, less negative for democracy, and in some instances like now, we have found it to be extremely obstructionist, extremely negative for democracy, extremely politicizing the high constitutional post. Therefore, our angst or our kind of voice for our principle goes louder.
So you say that the governor is behaving like a politician.
But incidentally, it's not only the DMK, right? Many states feel the same way, many parties feel the same way. Many states have sued their respective governors. So
you say that the governor is behaving like a politician. Not only you, many DMK leaders in...
the facts are, we're not saying this as if it is our individual. I mean, how many public meetings does he hold? How many visits does he make? How many speeches does he make? How many agendas or topics where he's spectacularly unread and uninformed does he go on and start spouting theories? Right? It is a fact. We're not hypothesizing. The facts on record for the last several years of his tenure are backing the fact that he's acting as if he's engaged in active politics.
So there's no issue with him talking. The issue was him allegedly talking, without facts.
Which governor? No, I'm saying the fact that he was unread and unsophisticated is the third point. The first point is it the job of the governor to be activist and continuously engaging with the public? Is that what the job of governor is? Where in the Constitution does it say that? That's what elected officials are for. Second, if you are a constitutional post, you should be completely apolitical. Right? Let's start from there. Level of engagement itself is unprecedented and not constitutionally warranted. Then that engagement should be apolitical. That also is violated. Then I say he happens to be spectacularly ill-informed. That is the third sin. The first sin is you're violating this book. Right?
Sir, after this particular Supreme Court judgment, we could see a lot of DMK leaders telling that the governor should step down on moral grounds. After this verdict, he should resign on moral grounds. Do you also stand with the same statement?
Look, I'm a minister in a government. Whatever the chief minister's position is, that is my position. If you're in opposition, you can say anything you want. When you're in government, the discipline of the government is that the chief minister takes a position and we all follow that position. So I leave it at that.
Sir, I also want to talk to you about the national education policy and delimitation. So as far as the national education policy is concerned, the latest is that the BJP has been organizing a signature campaign across Tamil Nadu, and they claim that they've got lakhs and lakhs of signatures for the national education policy and for a three-language formula. They say that since the 2026 assembly elections are coming, the DMK is trying to set a narrative, an artificial narrative in the name of a Hindi imposition, which is non-existential is what they say.
They can say anything they want. How does it affect me? I'm saying you have to have some reason for... anybody can say anything. I can't be responding to everything everybody says. I say, since you ask, and I generally won't respond, but because you've asked, I'm going to take the kind of exception now. This state has somewhere around 8 crore people, we think, because we haven't had a census in more than 13, 14 years. There are more than 6 crore voters, we know, because the electoral rolls are updated more regularly. the state's position on the national education policy has stayed consistent between 1968, the first one, 1986, the second one, 1992, the amendment of the second one, 2020, the third one, and this year when they're trying to use the 2020 policy to drive some PM Shri, some school. All along we have said we don't want a national education policy. It should not even be in the concurrent list. School education is clearly a state subject, as they say many parts of the world, and we are not going to change for you. There have been no Tamil Nadu born parties, no parties that originated in Tamil Nadu, ADMK, DMK, MDMK, DMDK, VCK, PMK, you pick any number of, I don't know how many parties there are. Not a single one has called for the NEP or for the three-language formula. We are very clear that we are not talking about politics here, we're talking about the feelings and sentiment of the people. If somebody wants to go and get a few lakh signatures in a state of 8 crore people, they should do it. I'm not sure what it proves, I'm not sure what it shows. And I would say the person going around taking the signatures is the one doing the politics out of it, rather than those of us who have stayed in the same exact position for decades and decades. The only reason we are protesting now is money that was allocated to us in the appropriation bill of the union budget, which should have been sent to us by March 31st. And in that bill, there was no condition that said you have to follow NEP, otherwise I won't give you money. That bill, that money has been illegitimately, illegally withheld from us. And artificial conditions such as adoption of NEP was forced on us, which is unconstitutional and against our rights. Therefore, we push back. Right?
Sir, why is the state of Tamil Nadu or the ruling Dravida Munnetra Kalagam is against NEP? Can you explain for the understanding of the national audience? Can you explain it, put it into words?
I just told you, it's not just about the DMK, it's also about the ADMK, it's also about everybody. We have never felt that government in Delhi should dictate to every state how it should be run. It is patently illogical. And listen, I can't keep saying the same thing again and again, so I don't know how else to say it to you. Let me put it this way. Here's the situation. States like Tamil Nadu and Kerala have average education is high school graduate. Literacy rates are 18, 19, 95%. Tamil Nadu has the highest gross enrollment ratio in tertiary education, close to 50%. That is the goal of the NEP, to get there by 2050 or something like that. Why should there be a common education policy for this state of Tamil Nadu, and let's just take for example a state of Bihar where the average education is elementary school dropout, where the gross enrollment ratio in higher education is sub 15%. Why should there be a common policy for both these places? It makes no sense. Even more profound, I'm asking the question. If you are a union government and you want to improve the country, should you be focusing your efforts on improving those parts of the country that are below average, or focusing all your efforts trying to fight with the people who are way above average and tell them they are doing something wrong? This is your ambition. I'm here. UP, Bihar, Rajasthan, etc. are here. You don't pay one attention extra to them to try and bring them here. I'm already here. Why do you keep telling me what I should do differently? Neither can you take me here, nor am I going to allow you to push me here. So why do you waste your time with me? Why do you waste your attention and extortion and arm twisting with me? It's meaningless. It's just bad policies, bad administration.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for talking to us. Thank you. So that is DMK Minister Palanivel Thiagarajan talking to us about the recent Supreme Court judgment that termed the Tamil Nadu Governor RN Ravi's decision to withhold several bills as illegal and arbitrary. He is definitely telling that this judgment will play a very significant role in shaping the relationship between governors and state governments across the country. And we also spoke about how in the eyes of the DMK the issues of delimitation and the national education policy are being viewed. For the time being, this is Dharni with Manish for Times Network from Chennai.